Hi everyone, and welcome to our latest webinar from Quantum Delft. Glad you can all join us. Today we're keeping our international theme. We've so far had companies from Finland, from the UK, from Denmark and Spain. And today we're connecting with colleagues in Munich, Germany, but we're changing the topic slightly. We've moved on to the topic of quantum education for today's webinar. Some quick technical points for those watching on YouTube. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. Please include your name as well. And we will feed them into our studio where Julia is behind the scenes and she can control that. So no further ado, I would like to introduce our first guest. Tatjana Wilk is the General Manager at the Munich Center for Quantum Science and Technology, and we're very pleased to have her here today to talk to us about the educational programs that are going on in Munich. Tatjana, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dan, for your kind introduction. I'm happy to share with you the education and training program that we have here in Munich, and I would like to share my slides if this is possible. So, yes, thank you. Okay, so first of all, I would like to introduce what is the Munich Center for Quantum Science and Technology. It is a cluster of excellence that is funded by the German Research Foundation, DFG. It is a long-term research project that runs from the 1st of January 2019 until the end of December 2025. We have a total funding volume of about 43 million euros, and all of this research, the whole program is going on in Munich and Garching, that's around, very close to Munich. And participating universities are the Technical University in Munich, the Ludwig Maximilians University in Munich. We have also the Max Planck Institute of Quantum Optics on board, the Walter Meissner Institute, and as well the Deutsches Museum, which is the largest technical museum of Germany, and I think even in the world. Actually, it's one of the largest. So our speakers the main responsibles in our clusters are Emanuel Bloch, who is a professor at LMU and also a director at MPQ, Rudolf Groß, which is a professor at TUM and also a director at WMI, and Ignacio Sirac, who is also director at MPQ and also gives lectures at TUM University. In total, in our community, we have more than 60 research groups that are hosting about 470 researchers. So we count from PhD students onwards. So all of these 470 are PhD students, postdocs, professors, permanent researchers, and so forth. So, we have all these researchers work in different fields. So in physics, in chemistry, in mathematics, in computer science, and also in electrical engineering. So the research program of MCQST spans actually all areas of quantum science and technology. So from quantum information theory over quantum simulation, computing, communication, metrology and sensing, quantum matter, to also what we call explorative directions, where we apply the methods we developed which were developed by the community for quantum science and technology to different fields, for example, high energy physics or quantum chemistry or cosmology. So we have very strong interconnections between the research fields, since many of our researchers are actually active in different research areas. And we have also a very strong support program. So we have a support program from the bachelor's level up to the research level, so to say, for postdocs and professors. And I now want to go more into detail in our teaching and training activities here at MCQST. So to start with, we have actually also a students lab for high school students, which is located in Garching at the Max Planck Institute of Quantum Optics. And the Photon lab, that's how it is called, that it had before Corona about 2,000 visitors per year. And now actually developed a very broad online program. So the goal of the Photon Lab is to show that physics is fun, and especially that quantum science is fun, to attract young talents to Munich and also to communicate science. Oh, okay. So this slide presentation did not work. Sorry, but so what I wanted to show here is that so the responsible, Stella Chef, she developed many online materials. So on YouTube, you can find her introductory course on the Photon Lab. We have a 3D poster world where you can explore different topics of quantum science. Then there is online material, so interactive books where students can self-educate themselves. And we also have on our webpage a 300-degree picture of the Photon Lab, where you can actually visit the Photon Lab virtually. You can also click inside and look at details. For example, here is a bomb tester experiment, so quantum experiment. And then you will be guided to the interactive books to learn more about this topic. So, and as you can see, also the Photon Lab is also active in other outreach activities. For example, together with other partners, we developed with them some what we call entangled cubes, which were also highlighted by Professor Rempe here when Mrs. Merkel, so our former Chancellor of Germany, and the Minister President Söder visited MPQ. So let's go on with the Bachelor Summer Student Program. We have we wanted to invite students to come to Munich, of course, and unfortunately, due to the pandemic, it was only possible to have them visiting us online. Last year we invited 20 students to join us. They came from 14 countries, and we had to select them from 265 applications, so which was very difficult. So the quality of the students we attracted was very high, and yeah, it was great to have them there and to exchange with them. So they did online courses on quantum science and technology, also on quantum hardware and quantum information theory. They got insight into all the MCQST research units, and they also went on virtual lab tours that we organized for them. So this year we hope to welcome the students in person. And if you are a student and you are interested, please apply until the 1st of March. Then we have a master's course in Munich for quantum science and technology that is now in the second year. So it started in the winter term of 2020-21. And now in this year, we have about 68 students enrolled. So in this course, in total, it's about 100 or more than 100 students. The male-female ratio is unfortunately only 10%. And we have students from Germany, about one third, about from the different EU countries as well, and also from outside of Europe. The master program also has its first graduate that finished in only 1 year. So while he did the coursework and the master's thesis at the same time. So this is quite brilliant. So we highlighted this on our webpage. Then we have different PhD programs running. So we have from IMPRESS, which is a Max Planck Research School. There are opportunities now in the Munich Quantum Valley, and there is also different opportunities within the Elite Netzwerk Bayern, it's called. So it's a Bavarian program for excellent students. So we also will organize together with IMPRESS a PhD conference this summer. So, and if you're interested in joining it, it will be in April in Munich. So for our postdocs, we have different programs. So we want to attract especially female postdocs to Munich. And we have a program running for excellent female researchers that get 2 years funding, one financed by MCQST and the other year by the hosting group. Actually, the call for applications is open at the moment, and we you can apply until the 21st of February to this program. Moreover, another nice postdoc opportunity is the START Fellowship that gives you so the postdoc that receives it a budget of their own, so they can actually do independent research. They decide what will be done with the money, so they can either invest it in staff, so have PhD students working with them, or also invest in equipment. So the infrastructure for this, so lab and office space, will be offered by one of our principal investigators. And we also offer mentoring to these scientists by our senior scientists and so forth. So also this program is still open for this year. So you can still apply until the 21st of February. Just to be complete, we also have some kind of seed funding project that is flexible funding for our members for up to 6 months with a budget of 50,000 euros per project. We are also engaged in the Quantum Flagship program, Quantum Technology Flagship in Education and Outreach, and we work together with groups in Europe, also with Delft, for example, on this Quantum Bits, for example, which is actually an event where quantum scientists will introduce their work to students, so bachelor and master students, in just 5 minutes, and then the idea is that the students can discuss with them. So we will highlight different topics, and the first edition of the Quantum Bits will focus on quantum communication and will be on the 23rd of February. So then I would also like to mention the Munich Quantum Valley initiative, or it's actually now an association. So the association agreement was signed on the 27th of January, so only a few weeks ago. It has a total funding volume of about 300 million euros through the Bavarian government, and about 80 million euros through federal funding. So it is an association with members from, so the members of the association are the Bayerische Akademie der Wissenschaften, the DLR, Deutsches Luft- und Raumfahrtzentrum, the Fraunhofer Society, the Friedrich-Alexander University in Erlangen-Nuremberg, the LNU, the TUM, and also the Max Planck Society. And we are very happy that that Rainer Blatt is the director of our center. So in our center, it has different goals, and what I would highlight here, also one of them is to actually have flagship projects and to develop and operate quantum computers. Moreover, we want also to establish a quantum technology park in Munich. But what I want to focus here on is actually that we want also, we engage in building a quantum workforce in Munich. So we have education and retraining that I already, also the education part I already discussed. So until now, I only highlighted the academic part, but we are also working on a retraining project for professionals. So this is a QS3 actually, sorry, this is cut here, the Quantum Lifelong Learning. It is a project that is funded by the federal government, and it has partners from TUM and LMU, and the lecturers will come from MCQST, but also from the Friedrich-Alexander University. The project started in October and will run until the end of September 2024. The idea of the program is that we actually design courses for professionals, and we have an industrial advisory board with whom we will actually define what content the courses need to have and so forth. So the idea is also that these courses will be certified by the universities that offer them. And here I would like to highlight my colleagues Alex Hohleitner and Jan von Delft from the TUM and the LMU, who actually run this project. With this, I would like to thank you for your attention, and just mention that we also have many videos on YouTube, for example, that also offer an introduction to QST for beginners. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks very much, Tatjana. That was really interesting to see how many different programs you've got going on at the different educational levels. That's really interesting. Just a reminder to everyone watching, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll feed them through. As I'm moderating, I get to ask as many questions as I like. So one question I have is, how in Munich, how easy are you finding it to connect the university students through to industry positions in terms of internships or summer projects, things like that? How is that going in Munich?
So we will actually only start with this in the spring or in early summer. So we are building now a job database, so to say, that will be published on our webpage. And the idea is that there the students can see all the offers from the industry partners, and we have quite good connections to the industry that is surrounding Munich, and also we have many connections to Fraunhofer, which is also part of the Munich Quantum Valley, and they will also offer internships. And so with this, we hope that we can offer a very broad spectrum on internships to the students.
Yeah. Great. And does the Munich Quantum Valley also have industry partners as well?
Yes. So it's a bit complicated. So the members of the Munich Quantum Valley, they are these institutions that I mentioned. But of course, there are also industry partners involved in the different projects that run within the Munich Quantum Valley.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks very much. Okay, for now, we'll move on to Miriam's talk and we'll welcome Tatjana back for the discussion panel shortly. But now it's my pleasure to introduce Miriam Blauuboer, Associate Professor at TU Delft. Miriam, over to you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much for having me here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about 3 topics. They're all related to quantum education in the Netherlands and specifically at Delft University of Technology. And some of you listening today might be very familiar with those already. So that's topic number 1, existing quantum education programs in Delft. Second topic is a new master program we are currently developing together with Leiden University on quantum information science and technology. And the third topic is the plans that are being developed for quantum education in even outside Delft and Leiden in the whole country as part of the National Growth Fund program Quantum Delta NL. So I'll start with the first topic. So right now, currently at TU Delft, there are essentially 4 quantum education programs. So there's no dedicated master program yet, but there are tracks within existing master programs that focus on quantum information, science, technology. Specifically, the Master Applied Physics has a track called Physics for Quantum Devices and Quantum Computation that has been around for a few years. And there's about 50 students every year choosing that track. The Master Applied Mathematics started this academic year, with a new specialization focusing on mathematics for quantum technology and computation. Then we have a minor program for bachelor students on quantum science and quantum information. And it admits students from physics, mathematics, electrical engineering, and computer science. So it's really a multidisciplinary minor program that around 60 to 70 students enter every year. And there are also the QuTech Academy courses, which is a set of coherent courses which are being offered as part of various master programs, not only in physics and mathematics, but also for computer science students as part of their master program, and also for electrical engineers. So those are essentially the 4 programs, minors, set of courses that Delft University of Technology currently offers. At the moment, we're working together with Leiden University to develop a new master program, which is really dedicated specifically to quantum information science and technology. Munich already has one. We just heard from Tatjana. We don't yet, but we hope to have one soon. And this is a nice quote that I like very much from Professor John Doyle from Harvard University, who said that quantum science and engineering, it's not just bringing different subjects from different disciplines together in a hybrid form, but it's an entirely new field, a new discipline by itself. And this new area of study deserves and calls for dedicated new master programs. So this motivated us to start thinking about that about 1.5 years ago. And now we're in the process of developing this 2-year curriculum. It will be an interdisciplinary and also multidisciplinary program. The idea is that it will admit students from 4 different disciplines: physics, mathematics, computer science, and electrical engineering. And it will offer them an in-depth program, multidisciplinary I already said, but also tailored towards bringing together these 4 disciplines. We are developing it now. Then it has to go through an accreditation procedure, and we hope to have approval by the end of this year so that it can start and we can welcome the first students in September 2023. And this new master program will be called QuIST, Quantum Information Science and Technology. So that's a new development in our region, these 2 universities joining forces. And then there is also the National Growth Fund, which is a national program, so more than regional, and it will run from 2021. It started last year until 2028. And this is a huge program that has many action lines: research, building new infrastructure, but a part of it is also talent development. So the human capital agenda, if you like, or like Tatjana said, educating a quantum workforce. And within this program, plans are being developed for many different things and on very different levels, spanning essentially the full spectrum of education from research universities down to secondary schools and even something for primary schools. So part of the plans are listed here in bullet points. There's 2 new research masters being developed. The one I talked about in the previous slide is one of them. There's also specialized quantum tracks being developed at various universities in the Netherlands, including also a minor program. Then there is a new development, which is very interesting, and we may touch upon in the discussion after my talk. That is the development of a professional master, which will be offered by 4 Dutch universities of applied sciences. From applied universities, it's only a small step to go to vocational colleges. So we also plan to develop quantum specializations for students in vocational colleges. For the secondary education and even for primary schools, there's also plans to develop some course material which can be used in the entire country. And to facilitate this, we plan to have a platform, and I think in Munich there's something similar, for course sharing or elements of course sharing on a national level and also beyond towards the EU. And then as a final part of this talent development program, there is the plan to establish 4 talent and learning centers in the coming years. And those are physical locations. You can actually go there and talk to people. Regional centers of expertise for tertiary quantum education on all levels, And with all levels, I mean that there will be universities, applied science universities involved, the vocational colleges, and they will also establish links to high schools and to industry. So you can visit this if you are, for example, a student looking from an applied university, looking for an internship. You could go to one of these talent and learning centers and ask the educational officer sitting there for advice, and he or she will have an overview of everything that's available within the region. So it's really a central point, a central building where everyone in a certain region involved in quantum technology can go and find information, get connected to others, and so on. And I don't have it on the slide, but I was reminded of it while Tatjana talked. We also plan to establish Q labs where high school students can come and do experiments. There are already a few in the Netherlands running, but they're quite small scale efforts. And now with this funding from the Growth Fund, we plan to expand them and also to use experience from one university at other universities. So this already brings me to the end of the talk. I'd be very happy to discuss things and answer questions. And I think during the panel discussion, we'll also talk a little bit more about these talent and learning centers. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Miriam. That was really interesting to see what's going on here in Delft, but also in the whole province of South Holland, including Leiden as well. And maybe for international viewers, Leiden is not so far from Delft. It's one of our neighbors, and maybe it's a bit early, but how do you envisage that joint master's program working? Will students commonly be traveling between the two locations, or yeah?
Yes, they will. Yeah. So in terms of logistics, so the idea is that both lecturers, but mainly students, will be traveling between the two cities, so that they also get to know the campuses. They'll be involved in research in both cities, at both universities. It's really giving shape to a joint degree. Yeah,
getting exposure to two great universities. Excellent. Thanks very much. Just a reminder to anyone watching, please put any questions you have for Miriam or Tatjana in the chat and we'll bring them through. Maybe now we'll add in our panelists as well. I'd like to introduce Lodewijk Arntzen. He's a principal lecturer in physics at the Haagse Hogeschool. Really testing my Dutch there. And Grazia Bastasin is the program manager of education and training at QuTech. Thank you both for joining us. Lodewijk, maybe I'll come to you first, because as Miriam ended on the Talent and Learning Center, I know you have a little bit more information from your side about what's going to be included in this initiative.
Yes, there's also a slide involved. So can you see this slide? Yes. Okay. Yes. So this for the Quantum Delft webinar, I have prepared also some slides. This is the University of Applied Sciences on the campus in Delft. This is a modern building with very good facilities for students to work in, and an applied physics department. Let me first introduce the universities of applied sciences that are involved into quantum technology, that will be involved in quantum technology in the near future. That is the Hague University of Applied Sciences at the campus in Delft. That is Fontys University in Eindhoven, and that is Saxion University of Applied Sciences in Twente. And the fourth one is Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences. Now, they are already involved in what you may call connected fields to the quantum ecosystem. First of all, Cas Damen has an applied research group, nanotechnology, and already in Twente is a professional master nanotechnology, which is not particularly directly quantum, but the ecosystem needs also nanotechnologies and clean room experts and so on. So we take this a bit broader than just pure only quantum, but it will evolve also into more specialized quantum groups. Then the Hague University of Applied Sciences has two research groups that may be involved in the future. That is Stefan van den Berg, focusing on photonics, and that smart sensor group system of John Bolte. These 4 universities will also be involved in the preparation of the master, the professional master Miriam was referring to. So there's the QuIST master to divide that strictly. The master developed by Leiden and Delft, the academic master, as you may call it, and there's the professional master being developed by these 4 universities together. And to talk about the Talent and Learning Center, because Miriam was referring to that as well, and she also explained already that it is a sort of educational broker, somebody who connects people in the ecosystem in the region Leiden and Delft. So there will be several Talent and Learning Centers. All these locations will have their own Talent and Learning Centers. So Delft, Eindhoven, Twente, and Amsterdam will have its own TLC launched. And it will be an educational broker for the ecosystem. So if this Talent and Learning Center, the people know in the future everything that is going on in educational programs, in the research groups, in the region, and also the companies, all the companies that are involved, the MSEs, the startups involved into quantum technology will be in this database, this flexible and always up-to-date database. So as also Miriam referred to, a student maybe from QuIST, and that is most likely that it will be the first students coming from QuIST starting in September 2023, will be asking the Talent and Learning Center, do you have, can I see what kind of internships are available in the region? What kind of research projects are going on? And one of the things that is very important is that this Talent and Learning Center will connect also several levels, as you may call it. We have not only, of course, academic universities in the region, Leiden and TU Delft, but also we have, of course, the University of Applied Sciences. Not only that, we have for instance, the vocational school, the Leidse Instrumentmakerschool. And this is a school where people get to know precision or get to work with precision mechanics on a very high level, for instance. And they have been, the Leidse Instrumentmakerschool, part of the research ecosystem of the region for a very long time, and is the reason why the research is at a high level. They are part of it. So we involve them into these project acquisitions, and we think that it is possible to also connect these levels with each other such that it becomes a stronger ecosystem, a stronger research project. Now, you can come with questions, students can come with questions to this Talent and Learning Center, research can come, startup companies can come, and we try to connect all the information. Then, of course, all these Talent and Learning Centers will be connected, so we also talk with Amsterdam, Eindhoven, Twente, and exchange students if needed. And of course, everything connects together because they all, Amsterdam, Eindhoven, Twente, will be involved into the master as well. So internships and the master and the projects in the master belong together in one system. So that is a bit of more add-ons to the story of Miriam, connected to this Talent and Learning Center in the House of Quantum. First of all, we have a House of Quantum on Delft at the Elektronikaweg, but there will be a new building built, and maybe Dan can say something about that as well, this building plans. I don't have the latest information on that, but that is approximately what a Talent and Learning Center is all about. Thank you.
Great, thanks very much, Lodewijk. Yeah, I think this is going to be a really valuable resource to the entire ecosystem. We hope to house it in our first community building in Elektronikaweg in the Delft Tech Park. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the future House of Quantum will be on the southern part of the TU Delft campus, hopefully by 2025, and that'll be a much larger building and really the center for the whole national community and ecosystem. Yeah, I mean, it's got me thinking, like, Miriam, you also mentioned that these quantum isn't just lots of individual topics. It's, you know, it's almost its own topic. But I'm curious how we yeah, how it's possible to bridge all these gaps, like all this technology. Is the dedicated master's program the only way you think to do that, or is the larger educational program across all levels really fundamental as well? And I'll come to Miriam first with that.
Yes, I think that's a very important and also a very good question. So I'd say that this whole quantum education started at the academic universities. That's where it originates from. But now times have changed so much. There's so much industry also at least starting up, and some of them are actually, some startups are already medium-sized by now. There's also big companies that are very much interested in quantum computing. We all know the names, like the Google and Intel and so on. So all of these developments made us think, and not only us, because, for example, in Zurich at the ETH, they've been having a master on quantum engineering for some years now, so we're not the first ones here in the Netherlands, but it made us think that having companies around in the region of Leiden-Delft actually calls for a dedicated workforce as well. And we're hoping to educate those. And it will trickle down, so to speak, from academic universities to the applied universities, then to the vocational colleges, and also bottom up, familiarizing already students in high schools with the concept of quantum. That helps to get them interested to enter university in whatever program related to quantum somehow. It can also be electrical engineering, computer science. You need the whole spectrum of disciplines, and I think indeed also the whole level of education to get this going step by step.
Yeah, multi-level approach.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we saw from Tatjana's presentation. That's what's going on in Munich. I'd like to come to Grazia and kind of ask you about how you see. Obviously, you're really involved in the quantum Flagship educational program. How do you see this multi-level approach occurring across Europe?
Hi, Dan. Yes, I do agree with Miriam. I think it's key to act at all levels. And what we are doing with the quantum Flagship through the CSA that also Tatjana mentioned is bringing the knowledge at different levels through some pilot programs. So what we see it's very important is to connect academia, industry, the whole community, and doing that at several levels. And at the moment, we have launched 11 pilots, and Tatjana and myself are part of one as well. They are targeting different levels, different audiences. Could be schools, primary and secondary schools, can be higher education, so bachelor, master, etc. Can be the workforce, so retraining of the workforce, and outreach in general, because also society needs to understand quantum, of course.
Yeah, that's really important. Yeah, I saw in Tatjana in your presentation, there's a lot of different events going on in terms of like summer schools for students and attracting programs. Can you give us a little bit more insight into how those came about?
You mean where the idea came from to
have
and
these how you got off the ground?
Okay, yeah. So already in the proposal for MCQST, so for our center, so it's a large project in principle, a third-party project, funded project. There was the idea of having this summer student program, for example. I mean, I think in Munich, the idea of having a quantum master, it was also already in the proposal of MCQST. I think people had that for quite a long time. And so they said, okay, with the MCQST in the back, we can really do this. So then we have the support from all universities, for example, and from all the research groups involved. And I think which is nice is that MCQST actually really brings the people together in Munich to actually do something together. Yeah, and of course, I mean, the bachelor program was also created to get the students on a undergraduate level already introduced to quantum science and technology, and to introduce them to the research environment in Munich. And that's the idea behind it. Yeah.
Okay. And Miriam, I'll come back to you. Is there are these programs part of the Quantum Delta kind of educational workforce program as well, to have these kind of summer schools and really trying to attract international talent to the Dutch educational program?
Yes, absolutely. I didn't mention it, but there's also a visitor program. There's plans for having summer schools, very similar to what Tatjana has been telling us about. Sabbaticals for people who would like to learn something in a different discipline, for example, for some time. So we're really targeting very similar audiences on all levels, as they do in Munich as well.
Okay. And Lodewijk, coming back to you, in the vocational schools, I mean, we see for our own startup community that, you know, they don't just need to hire physics PhD students or PhD graduates. As we've said, this is a multi kind of level or multi-tiered workforce. How are the applied science universities and schools going about building that industry connection as well? Is it just through the Talent and Learning Center, or do you already have other interaction with companies for studentships and internships, that kind of thing?
Yes, interesting question. We all already have internships in the ecosystem, like Single Quantum, etc. And these companies that are in Delft and Quantware in Leiden, and we already have these internships. We already have of course, a bachelor applied physics in photonics and in micro and nanotechnology, which has a meaning for the ecosystem, of course. But we want to connect more, and that means that you actually need this master, this professional master. And if you would compare it to QuIST, I think this master focuses more on, if you look at the quantum flagship competences, we would focus even more on enabling the students. So the science bit, QuIST, the S in QuIST is science. We would take a bit of that out of the program and put a bit of more technology in. So that means that this master we try to prepare has more internship space and more project space. They are very much working with a bit more with their hands, so that the ecosystem can work with these students and with the companies, and that all the problems, the technological problems on the way, which are on a high level, of course, can be smoothly or more smoothly tackled. So it's a bit more technology, a bit less science, and a bit more project and a bit more internship in the master, most probably. And this is also the way we organize our bachelor. There's a lot of internship space in the bachelor. In the third year, there's 30 EC. In the fourth year, there's 30 EC. And our bachelor students are in fact ready for business. They are ready for going into the companies and going to work, instead of the 3-year masters on the universities that normally are not used to go and go into the field already. They are used as mostly used as a connection to a master. Of course, we have that too. So it's an interesting discussion. How does this connect all together? And I think there's a good motivation, and also a good story to it, how this connects, because this fundamental part of quantum mechanics may be not the focus that directly on our master. There's another thing, and that we want to educate the flexible workforce for the future. Okay, so what is that? It means that you do not only work in a monodisciplinary way, but we create, as Miriam nicely mentioned in a quotation, we create a new field. It's a completely new field where also electro engineers, for instance, also educated at the Hague University of Applied Science, but also Eindhoven and Twente has them as well. Mathematicians, also on the level of University of Applied Sciences, there are mathematicians, and I think we also need this complete workforce. In fact, so we want to educate more, and that means that also another motivation to bring into the Universities of Applied Sciences. So we also have this this multidisciplinary field, and we also have these several fields in our university, and so mathematics and electrical engineers, but also software engineering is part of the University of Applied Sciences, and these software engineers do not always have to know the deepest basics of quantum mechanics, but they can be enabled to work in the quantum software industry. So I think this is an add-on to the whole ecosystem, it is interesting to discuss where our focus should lie in this development of a new master, and how to connect it, and how to connect it in the ecosystem, but also how does it connect to QuIST. And I think it is also possible that we are talking about people who who develop in a certain way, and maybe there are some students in our group that have the right talent or the right basic skills to connect to QuIST, and then we may want to try to make a sort of exchange connection path, a sort of highway where you can take another turn, and you can go to the left and you go to the right. So, and maybe it's possible that people that are educated in Leiden and Delft at the university are attracted to the more applied, or even more enabling professional master with a slightly less focus on the fundamentals. That is just a way of looking at things. But the whole ecosystem should be explored, and we have all these kind of tastes, all these kind of directions also in the University of Applied Sciences. The software engineers, and you name it. So these also should be involved and should get a chance to go into the quantum field.
Okay, great, thanks. Given the topic for many of our webinars has been about international collaboration across Europe, I have a question which I'll come to all of you for your opinions, and I'll start with you, Grazia. Pre-corona times, there was obviously interest for universities to have joint master's programs, to have that attractiveness for students to travel between potentially different universities in different countries. Those were quite challenging programs to set up. Now post-corona, well, not quite post-corona, but now we're 2 years of experience in the pandemic, and lots of education moved online, almost all of it, obviously. How do you see, especially in the flagship program, how these kind of the online teaching has eased the way in which different students can access different university programs?
Yeah, well, I think the last 2 years we have understood even more how powerful could be the online learning, and I think there are some opportunities that we never have seen before. So, for example, there were courses that were only available to the students at a certain universities, and now more and more we can open them to 10 times more students, and this is amazing. So what I see, for example, with the MOOCs that we have on EDX, it's a growing number of learners that access it. And for the efforts that are already established in different universities, I see, again, a growing number of students that can access them. And if before, so the fact was that before, students were doing a lot of exchange, traveling from one university to another, through Europe, for example. And it is wonderful, has many pros, and I don't think it will stop in any way or lower. I think it's more about growing and opening up possibilities. And so now, for example, a training program for, let's say, even a postdoc, for example, or a PhD can be open to also other university, which is which is great. And also the pilots that I see in the QTA to CSA, some of the synergetic activities are, for example, building up courses or exchanging material, and also opening up the courses to the students in different universities. And it's so natural now, and I think it's a great opportunity.
Do you think the EU program will retain the physical travel aspect as well that you spoke about, that physical exchange as well?
In general, I do think so. I think it brings other aspects of education for an adult, a human being, you know. So no, I do not think it will stop in any way, and I don't think it should. But yeah, as I said, it's about adding opportunities, and I think this really adds much to it.
Yeah. And Tatjana, how have you found things in Munich? Has it been easier to establish these international connections and these collaborations?
I mean, I would say some of it was easier, of course, because everything moved online, and it's so natural now to have a Zoom call with somebody in Delft, for example. And I think this is really great that we have such discussions, for example, and we can learn a lot by exchanging with you. And I already picked up a few ideas from Miriam, for example, now. So this is really great. But I think what cannot be replaced is the personal experience. I mean, also that students are part of a research group also. And this is, for example, an essential part of the master's studies in Munich. So the students in Munich, they have to do a 1 year master's thesis within the research group. And of course, this cannot be done online. This is impossible. But on the other hand, for example, we in the first COVID year, we had to cancel the student program completely because it was too short notice, so to say, to switch everything to online. But we also did have many good experiences with online conferences, for example. So we had great online conferences, but now we also see that people are getting more and more tired of these only online conferences, and the participant rate goes down. But I think what would be nice is to have something hybrid. So, for example, to have streaming of the talks, so that really everybody could watch them. Also, people who cannot afford to travel, for example, to conferences, who cannot afford to pay the conference fees and so on. Yeah.
Hybrid was going to be my next question. Yeah, how easy is that to embrace? But Miriam, how has the experience been in Delft, especially for the international collaboration aspect of the education?
Yes, well, I agree with Tatjana and also with Grazia about many things. So I think in terms of coursework, lecturing, we have all learned a lot. Also, the lecturers have learned a lot. And let's retain the good elements we've learned for courses, especially when there's a large portion of broadcasting, where there's essentially one person talking and many others listening. That is something that works online in general quite well as well. But if you need interaction, working in a small team or experimenting or doing project work, then coming together is essential, like Tatjana also said, and also for the social well-being of young people. It's young people we educate, so they really need this aspect as well. So yes, I would make it a win-win, if I may say so. Retain the good things we've learned in the past 2 years, and also return to more work on campus, if possible, whenever possible.
Yeah, and Lodewijk, how have you seen it?
Yeah, I would agree to what Miriam said, and hybrid can work. And also for a project, I would agree that you really have to meet each other. You have to feel the lab and so on, and you have to feel the things in your hands. But getting, for instance, Twente and Amsterdam and Eindhoven closer together, that is really, I think it has been a catalyzer, this COVID situation, that we really got closer together. And this plan for a professional master, I don't know if we would have been so bold to develop that together, because the distance is, of course, not a distance Munich Bonn or so, but it is quite a distance for students to travel between Delft and Enschede. But we thought that students, that if we have a very keen idea on that, how to do it with student housing and so on, but also with smart online lectures, and the projects then in a very fixed period of half a year internship altogether. So then you really move to Delft from Twente and not travel too much. If we do it in a smart way, we can do it together. And I think this COVID situation has learned us that the universities of applied sciences, for instance, but also the universities are actually close together, digitally at least. Leiden-Delft is 30 kilometers, 35 or so, so that is also physically close together. And I think the hybrid form brings new ways. Also internationally, it's possible to talk to a professor in Munich, for instance, quite easily now, because it's a psychological thing. We could also, we already were able to do so, but we didn't, and now we have this new perspective. Yeah, I would agree.
Great. Well, we're coming towards the end. Maybe I can ask you all for one kind of final, I don't know, call to action, where you think from your perspective, the most important next step for whatever part of the education or the future workforce, where it really lies, where your focus is. Lodewijk, maybe I can come to you first. What's your call to action for the community?
Call to action for the community is, I think we are the first thing is that we want to give a bit of more shape to this Talent and Learning Center, and to get to know the ecosystem in a very precise way, so more precise than we know now. Put all the information together we know about the companies in the area, and to also look very closely to the all the educational programs that are already there. Get to know each other in the region, I would say, and also interregional. Get to know each other, what is going on. That would be and also to invite people to do so, because this really brings us forward.
Yeah,
connection, but also to know where the power lies. Where is the power? What is the power of the CVE in Amsterdam? I have to find out, and so on. So I know a bit about it, but I have to really go into that. And I would invite everybody to look at all the possibilities in internationally, but also in the Netherlands, not to invent the wheel 20 times. That could be of beneficial for the field.
Yeah, real good connection across the ecosystem, I think, is very valuable. Grazia, from your perspective?
Yeah, well, I feel I'm very said already, but yeah, I think the ecosystem has a great power. The fact of being all connected at different level, yeah, it's the best we can have for creating new projects, filling gaps, seeing which are the bottlenecks. And so yeah, my call to action would be to look for the community. Where is the community? What is needed in the community? And collaborate. I've seen great things coming out from collaborations, in diverse collaboration also.
Yeah, so the local and the national and obviously international levels. Tatjana?
Exactly.
Yeah, so I would agree. Exchange is essential, of course. What I would also like to highlight is, we have to raise, so to say, quantum natives. That's how we call them. I mean, we have to make sure that people lose their fear from quantum science or quantum physics. So every time I tell them, "Oh, I'm a quantum scientist," ooh, this sounds very difficult. What is it? And so we have to educate children already and go into schools. But also educate adults. So go to professionals and teach them how to do quantum technologies, how to build quantum technologies
across all the levels. Yeah, thanks. And Miriam, finally to you.
Yes, thank you. So I'd really like to second everything you have already mentioned, Lodewijk, Grazia, and Tatjana. And maybe if I may, I'll speak to the students. I hope some of you are online and listening also to this. So if I imagine myself sitting in your seat, so to speak, and all these plans that we've been talking about in this session for new master programs, minor programs come to fruition, the number of choices you have will increase. There will be more choices between master programs, but also when you're still in high school, which bachelor to choose. And I would like, as my call of action, for you to make use of these choices, not be scared of them, but they give you the unique opportunity to think also for yourself after you've completed part of your education, in which direction to go. Do you want to go monodisciplinary, or do you want to go to a more dedicated quantum program that are coming up now in the coming years? Reflect on that and make a good choice. And I don't think there's any right or wrong here. It really has to suit whoever you are. So make use of that, and hopefully you'll find something that interests you and that also fits you very well.
So embrace the opportunities.
Yes.
The rapidly expanding opportunities. Excellent. Well, time is up. I would want to thank you all for joining me today and giving us insights into the various programs that we've got going on, both in Delft, in the Netherlands, and across Europe. Thank you again. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in our webinar next month. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.